Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to yet another amazing episode. And in this one, we'll be looking into some of the mistakes that people get to make. And these are mistakes, of course, you should avoid when you're buying an used or a second-hand car here in Kenya. And these steps that I'll be taking you through is what gets to determine whether utafuniko or basically you get a good car or you get a bad car, which will be an headache for you in the long run. So stick around because I have 10 mistakes that you should definitely avoid, or basically, I have a checklist of the things that you should be very careful when you're buying a car that is, and you're not the first time owner of that car. Pay attention to this. And before you get into that, if it's your first time coming across my videos, do consider hitting the subscribe button, which is just below here, and turn on the notification bell so that whenever I get to bring you videos like these ones, whenever I get to try and educate you regarding on things regarding cars, you can always be notified. Stick around for that. I'm your host. My name is Willie, and of course, I do appreciate you talking to me. Your thoughts, you can get to share on the comment section because I get to take my time and to look at every comment because I really appreciate your feedback. So for now, I just allow the intro to roll and I'm going to see you on the other side. Welcome back. Let's get to dive into the number one thing that, or basically the number one mistake that you should avoid, or the number one in our checklist is whereby the mistake that most people get to make is skipping a proper mechanical inspection. So there are a couple of things that might go wrong if you get to do this, as well as we'll also be looking into what you need to check so that you'll be on the safe side. Number one, whenever you get to skip proper mechanical checkup, you might be facing some problems like you could be having some problems with the engine. You may find the engine could be having some issues, basically hidden engine issues. We're talking about whereby it could be having some oil leaks. We're talking about the engine could be having problems like also emitting some smokes or even overheating. So you really need to have some proper mechanical checkup. So apart from the engine, you could be finding the car could be having some problems with the gearbox. This is usually the case, mostly with the Nissan, which gets to come with the CVT transmission gearbox, because that's a problem that is known to be associated with the Nissan. So whenever you're going out there and you're buying a Nissan, you really need to make sure that you get to have some proper inspection when it comes to the gearbox. So you could be having some gearbox sleeping, whereby you get to find that the car could be struggling to switch from one gear to the other. It's a common thing mostly with the Nissan, especially with the CVT gearbox. So other things that you really need to pay attention is you could be buying a car which comes with very worn out suspension, especially if a car has been going to off roads. That's an issue that you really need to pay attention because it's usually something that gets to happen a lot with second-hand or used cars. So apart from just looking at those, what do you really need to do in order for you to go through these inspection? So first thing first, when you pay a visit to, maybe you're going for a visit to see the car, first thing first you need to do is a cold start. So you expect the engine to be running smoothly, so you don't expect the engine to be rattling excessively. In case you get to hear that, you could really need to bring in a specialist to check what could be the problem. Maybe we are talking about things like the cylinder rings. You could be having some loose parts in the engine. So you really need to start by having a cold start. It's very important. So also another thing is to head to your dashboard. Once you get to start the car and you're sitting on the driver's cabin, what you need to do is to check the dashboard. Make sure there are no any alert lights which are on the dashboard. Maybe check engine, you could be having some lights on regarding the gearbox. Make sure you get to pay attention to the lights which are on the dashboard. So that's something which is very important. And when doing this inspection, especially if you are owning this car for the first time or you don't have that so much experience with car, it's usually advisable you get to go with a specialist. So basically here in Kenya, to hire a good specialist, somebody who is going to do some thorough inspection for that car, they could, of course, charge you around 3,000 to around 8,000 Kenyan shilling, depending with the individual. So another thing it's also important to understand is that you go ahead once the car gets to start, give it a few minutes for it to run, and then go ahead, you open the knob, the lid for the engine, and you get to dip your finger into that engine. Look at the color of that oil. If you get to see the color, the oil looks milky, that definitely gets to show some serious problems with the head gasket, which could mean that it's worn out, and that car could be prone to issues like overheating, and of course it could require some overhaul or changing the gasket. So it's very, very important that you get to do these simple tricks that I'm telling you, because they're going to save you a lot. So basically, if you're looking for somebody who is a professional when it comes to inspecting cars, you can go ahead, you get to talk to us in the comment section. We do offer those services. And apart from just, we have 9 other things to check in, to have we have in our checklist, to pay attention as we get to proceed to the other one. Well, number two in our list is whereby you need to do proper verification when it comes to the paperwork. We're talking about the logbook and the ownership. This is where people get conned, because if you're in a hurry, or you're feeling like you're in that pressure, you need that, you're in that urgency, you want to own the car right away, and you get to ignore this little region. This is where you could find the car could be having some issues. Maybe the car logbook could be have been used to take a loan, could be how I could realize that the car could be stolen. Sometimes the logbook could be even be fake. It's very, very important that you get to confirm that. At some point, there are scenarios whereby we have had people being sold cars by not the original owner, or the person not owning the car gets to sell it. So if that situation gets to happen, you could find yourself in some very, very serious problems. So there are precautions that you need to take when it comes to looking at the logbook. And number one, which is the basic thing to do, you need to do a proper search on the National Transport and Safety Authority, the NTSA. That's where you get to see the ownership of the car. And it's also important to understand that you get to see the original ID of the person selling the car, so that you can get to cross check. So the name in the national ID should be the same one that you get to see on that NTSA portal. So that's something which is very, very important for you to understand. Also, there are scenarios whereby you get to find the car could be having some joint ownership. You don't need to find yourself in such a situation. So it's important that you get to clarify that, as well as the situation whereby you could be having the car has gone through multiple ownership, and they haven't done the proper transfer. So it's important that they first of all get to clear with that before you get to come on board, or you get to own the car, or the logbook gets to be transferred to you, because you'll be having some difficulties to do that forced car transfer. So it's important that you get to pay attention to those two things so far. And of course, for the case of the logbook, you just need to go to a cyber. The cyber attendant will do a tremendous job when it comes to doing that, because there's something that they have been used to. In case there are some challenges, you can just go ahead and get to visit an NTSA office. Well, number three in our checklist is whereby you need to make sure that you get to pay attention to the accident history of the car that you're about to own. And the reason for that is because I don't think you're looking forward to own a car which has been used, yeah, which has been involved in an accident before, because there are some challenges that comes with car which has been involved in an accident. And first thing first, you could be involved yourself, is that the car could be having an ongoing case. Maybe the car hit somebody, and of course ran away. So you could be having some serious issues with that. So you need to make sure that you get to do a proper accident history of the car. Another important thing to know is that was the accident serious? Could they have resulted to some serious mechanical problem to the car? Maybe the chase alignment. We are talking about things like problems with the door closing, airbags out. You need to have that history, so that you know the level of damage that could have been resulted from that accident. So, which are some of the things that you can get to look at to know whether the car has been involved in a road accident before? First thing first, you look at the alignment and even the panel gaps between doors. They need to be very uniform. The other thing you could be looking at are things like the dashboard. We have an airbag which have already exploded. Sometimes you could be having some different paint shades, which is common, especially if your car was hit from the back, from the side. You may find the owner could opt not to repaint the entire car, but just that part which was involved. So at some point you could look for things like you look for chassis welding marks. Maybe the car was cut into half. You need to look for those joints which are irregular, which are not common to any car coming from the manufacturer. It's very, very important for you to pay attention because those ones they are going to determine whether you proceed and close the deal or not. Well, number four in our list is whereby you need to do a total overlook on the ownership cost, because there's, apart from just the price of the car, there are also other costs which are incurred. We are talking about things like remember, you need to go through to verify the logbook, who's the previous owner. To do that, you need to pay some amount. There's a specific amount that the NTSA they are going to request you to pay. Also, there are things like you need to do some instant insurance to the car, because you never know, the car could be involved anytime in an accident. So you need to have a car, of course, and an insurance. So you'll be incurring costs like the NTSA, that procedure, the transfer fee. Remember, you need to do the transfer of the ownership. There are things like the insurance. For the insurance, it's up to you. You might choose to have a third party or a comprehensive insurance. So that would be up to you. Other costs that I could incur or put into consideration are things like you need to do some immediate service. Remember, you don't know whether the car was how the previous owner was maintaining the car. So it's important you get to start the car with some clean history. You get to do some instant immediately. You get to do some oil an oil filter change as well as plugs, so that you can get to start and the history of the maintenance of the car afresh as per your ownership. So other costs you could incur. Remember, we're talking about a second or unused car. You could do some tire replacement, as well as the basic thing is the fuel consumption, which you get to incur every time you get to move the car. So those are some of the things that people get to ignore, but they are very, very important, especially if you are owning this car for the first time, and of course it's a used car. You need to do those are some basic costs that they're going to come along as you get to own the car. So now let's proceed into a next number in our checklist. Well, we're talking about not searching for the reliability, as well as the spare part availability. It's important that you get to know whenever you're going to look for a car or to buy the car, are the spares, of course, available? What's the maintenance cost? Is it above average? Is it average? It's important that you get to have all that in mind, because it really gets to determine how you'll be interacting, how your interaction between the car as well as will the car become a burden to you. Remember, there are some units that you might buy, and when it comes to getting the spare part for this car, it becomes an headache. In case that car requires a replacement of a specific part and you fail to get them locally, trust you me, that car you find it a huge burden to you. So it's important that you get to understand the unit that you're buying, how easy can you get its spare parts, as well as those model that you get, is it common, especially in our Kenyan market? So that's a very, very important aspect to always consider. And of course, the most popular models that we are talking about car brands from Toyota, Nissan, Honda. Those are very, very popular, and in most cases, you'll always be getting their spare part with much ease. So also, apart from just getting the spare parts, it's also important to understand the specialists, the people who are well conversant with this car. How easy can you get to access them? Because it's very important that you don't get a car which requires specialists from who will have to fly into the country to take care of your car. You need people You need a car which can be serviced locally. In case it needs some maintenance, you can always get a personnel with some good skill to handle the car. Also, another important thing is to always to consider is the resale value. Remember, you don't want to have a car which whenever you get to buy it, when it comes to reselling, you are struggling or you get to lose almost half the price. So there are some cars which have had the reputation of having some serious depreciation, especially cars from Nissan, Honda. They have had that problem. So if that's a factor that you really get to consider, I would suggest you get to consider cars from the Toyota brand. They have a very good resale value, especially here in Kenya. Well, next one in our checklist is whereby you get to fail not to take proper test drive. I remember this car we were buying, it's an used car. It has been on our Kenyan roads before. It has had some different ownership, and one thing is for sure, we don't know how the person was handling the car. So before you get to fall into that deal, it's important that you get to take your time, test the car, do some proper driving for you, so that you can get to have good information to make your judgment or to make your decision. And what you do with that, it's important that you get to take the car, do the test drive on rough roads. The importance of that is for you to know how well the ball joints are. Is the car really making serious noise when you are on off roads? As well as you get to also get to feel the suspension, which are in most cases you get to wear out if the car was not used or was not well maintained. So it's important that you get to drive on rough roads. Also, another important thing is to check the braking system of that car. Brakes are some of the things which are very, very important in any vehicle. So you need to make sure they're in good condition. Also, another thing is to check the vibration of the steering, especially if you get to 80 to 100 kilometers. Most cars they get, if it's a car which was not well kept, you'll be realizing the vibration once you get to 80 to 100 kilometers per hour. You don't want to have a car which gets to have those serious vibration of the steering. So it's very, very important for you to check out those ones. So the other important thing is also to try and of course reverse the car. Try to turn the steering to the end to check the CVs. Are they making some noise? You need to understand all those things because those are some of the parts that they get to wear out with time, especially during rainy season. We'll be having cars which have serious problem with the CV. So it's important for you to check all that. Check also the dashboard, the AC cooling system, as well as the windows are able to lower or even rise. So it's important you get to check all those things when you're buying that car. Forward, guys, the other thing in our checklist is to whereby you get to check the odometer tampering. There are those cars which you get to realize that the mileage is way too low, but when it comes to the condition of the car, you realize the car has been running for years, as well as it has covered thousands of kilometers, yet the odometer is telling otherwise. So those are some of the tricks that most of the crooked or not straightforward sellers might tamper with, because they want to have the car maintain its price regardless of how long it has been running or the kilometers it has covered. Remember, the more the car gets to cover so many kilometers, we have factors like wear and tear involved, which also affect the price, meaning the price might depreciate. So that's also something very, very important for us to consider. So the last in our list is whereby you need also, guys, to take your time and of course get to think of the payment process that you need to have, as well as the transfer process. Remember, these are those steps you need to follow in order for you first to make sure that your safety, your money safety is secured, because you don't want to lose your money, right? So first thing first, you need to make sure that the process that you're paying, of course, it's easy for you. You don't want to buy the car in cash. You need, in most cases, it's advisable you get to do bank transfer because it's much safer, because especially when we have large sums of money involved. So it's important for you to make sure you get to do bank transfer. Also, there is also the sales agreement you need to sign. It's very, very crucial, and this one is done from both parties, the seller as well as the buyer. They need to sign. Also, there is the exchange of national identity copies. You need also to do that. So, as well as remember, you also need to do a logbook transfer, which you get to make sure that you get to do it on the port of the NTSA portal, so that the car ownership can be transferred to you before you getting the physical logbook. So, it's very important that you get to look into all those things that we have talked about in case you need personal assistance when you're going to buy a car. You can as well as get to reach out to us with the contact in the description section. We do assist when it comes to that. That's all I had for you today with this one. I look forward to seeing you in our next one. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well as talk to us in the comment section. Please, guys.